Heart rate always has to be talked out about, not in absolute numbers, but in percentages of maximum, and then you start to get a sense. So,
Hi guys, let me ask you this. How do you differentiate the heart rate reading of successful Ironman champion Lionel Sanders and the reading of an amateur like Talbot Cox? The answer is that the former can ride Mount Lehman at 105 beats per minute or less, and the latter would average 184 beats per minute. Also, Lionel would complete his easy ride in less than 2 hours, whereas the second would need 2 hours and a half. Of course, Lionel is a very talented and hardworking athlete. We finished second at Kona in 2017, and the second is only a very keen amateur who probably train half or even a third of what Lionel is putting. But notice that would still probably be around 8 hours a week, or who knows. I think there is a far more important and simple factor to explain the difference. They have been genetically given a significantly different max heart rate. Lionel max is 169 and Talbot is 198. The resting is relatively similar, 43 for one and 54 for the other. But the max heart rate is very different. And you know, they both are 32 years old. They've been long-term athletes with no injury that I know of. So their math threshold would be 153, 180 minus 32 plus 5, plus 5 because no injury and training for more than 2 years. So 153 for Talbot, that will fall into his zone 2, so 77% of his max heart rate. But for Lionel, that would give 90.5% of his max, which is in zone 5, probably above his lactate threshold heart rate. So, if there is one thing MAF training is supposed to be good at, it's improving the performance at long and slower events like ultra or Ironman events. One of the most famous MAF athletes is Mark Allen, who won the Ironman World Championship held in Kona, Hawaii, a record 6 times. But if Lionel were to train the MAF zone, he would quickly become overtrained. Or maybe not, because he could simply not train at least longer than an hour, being at or above his lactate threshold. Well, on the other end of the spectrum, you have older athletes with very high max heart rate, and those guys might not even get enough of a training stimulus. So this is my case. I'm 42 and my max heart rate is around 206. My MAF threshold would be 138, maybe even 133, as I was kind of injured with a plantar fasciitis. Anyway, the two figures would fall into my zone 1, which is what Garmin consider a warm-up zone. So I would probably undertrain. Of the two situations, I would rather be in my case and train too light than risking overtraining. I think there is nothing too wrong with sticking to zone 1. After all, there is a reduced risk of injury, improving my health, my capacity at burning fat, and becoming more endurance, and possibly even improving my running, albeit probably slowly. But see, the catch is that I'm investing a lot of hours in my training. So in my case, that's on average 10 hours per week. So I would like to have a return. I would like at the very least to be sure I'm improving in running, meaning, in PBs. And I would like to improve significantly. I would like to give you something a bit more specific, maybe a 1 minute improvement in my 10K PB after, say, 4 months of training. And if I stick to zone 1 all the time, I'm not sure that will bring me that, or at the very least not in 4 months. Even Dr. Maffeton, in a sense, he said that training too low would not bring progress as fast as being in the most optimal zone.
So no, I don't have some incredible, I mean, I have trained my body a lot, obviously, endurance-wise, but the main reason my heart rate is 105 beats per minute in my aerobic riding is because my heart is quite big and pushing very large stroke volume, and therefore doesn't need to beat as quickly and can't beat that quickly. Is if my heart rate was 180 for 2.5 hours, I would have been dead after hour 1, literally.
So, how come the 180 formula could be so wrong insofar as it could overtrain Lionel and undertrain others? I think this is because Lionel and myself are statistical outliers. Few people have such extreme low or high max heart rate. If Dr. Maffeton calibrated and validated his formula on hundreds of people, the likelihood of having a Lionel or someone like myself is fairly low. And if he met one outlier who did not improve as expected, he might have missed the max HR issue. Indeed, it would be easy to suspect other factors, too much carb, training for too long or not enough, or too much stress in your life, etc. Also, it's hard to measure a max heart rate. Plus, Dr. Maffeton was basically a doctor, a chiropractor, rather than a sports scientist. Also, he stopped following many people in the 90s to focus on other activities like singing. So the validation that he might have done might not have been very scientific or data-driven, or at least systematic. What's more, the formula is spot on to the majority of people, a bit conservative to the few high max heart rates, like let's say me, but the formula is really detrimental only to a very few who are at the low end of the max heart rate spectrum, like Lionel. So let me ask you another question. Do you know what drives Dr. Maffeton to offer his formula? In his book, he explained that he didn't trust the 220 minus age formula to assess a max heart rate. And of course, he was right. I mean, the formula suffers from the same issues as his. It's close enough for most, but it's too inaccurate for outliers, in a bell curve. Also, Dr. Maffeton observed that people tend to peak 80% or more of max heart rate as a regular training regimen. They would rarely settle down to lower intensities like 70%. And, his main goals are probably avoiding injury and improving fat usage. And fat usage is what he defines as aerobic. So to achieve those two main goals, you need people to stay in a intensity zone that promotes effort that is fueled by a majority of fat compared to carbs. So you could go low. So you could go to a lab to know the percentage of fat used for each intensity and thus set up your training zone accurately. That would be actually his first choice. Dr. Maffeton is saying you should do that if you can, but it's not practical. realized that would not be possible for most people. So that's why he came up with a cheaper alternative, a very convenient tool, which is this 180 formula. But as you see, it was really a tool, a rule of thumb, something convenient that could be used to help achieve the real points of Maffetone, being healthy and teaching the body to use more fat. When you read the entire book, this formula comes across almost as a detail, with only a few lines dedicated to it, compared to hundreds of pages of very interesting points. Right, so let's forget this formula and let's go back to what the Maffetone method is really about. So let's assume we don't have access to a lab. Then I think we should stick to a very low zone 2. Maybe say 73% or so of your max heart rate. And 73% of that would be your MAF limit. And then you subtract 10 as usual. That gives you your zone. So for me, that would be between 140 to 150. For Lionel Sander, his MAF would be 123. So if you don't know your true max heart rate and you are not ready or cannot go all out to approximate it, what can you do? Well, if you've got a smartwatch like Garmin that estimates your lactate threshold HR, you can do something with that. So for example, Garmin estimates the lactate threshold by looking at an inflection point in your heart rate variability. And in my experience, it's fairly accurate. So for example, for me, it's 187. And if you take 80% of T's heart rate, I think that will give you your MAF threshold. Another way, if you don't have a smartwatch, is to estimate the zone as a zone whereby you can hold a conversation. Well, this is everybody and his uncle is recommending to use this approach anyway, but I find it very vague. For example, in my case, I discovered that I can hold a conversation even at 80% of max heart rate, or even more. So it's a bit vague, and I think that would get me run a bit too fast, and maybe you guys as well. So I don't think its approach is really Maffetone's friendly. So I would rather suggest that you should be able to easily hold the conversation, maybe even be able to breathe while having your mouth closed. Or another clue would be you should be able to enter a shop right after you run, and people should not be able to say that you just run. You should not be panting or sweating. So that's it for today, guys. Tell me if you too think that the formula might be wrong sometimes, and if you think that the suggestion I just made could help you to achieve assess a better MAF threshold. Let me know in the comment, and see you next time. Bye, guys.